This is the Vision 79 podcast, where my friend Sander and myself, Mason, discuss recent developments in our business and personal growth. The name Vision 79 comes from our respective racing numbers. Sander's is 40, mine is 39, and we have similar ambition to progress in our business and personal growth. Many successful people have started small just like us, but very few of them have documented their early years. They often say they wish they had, and given we believe in learning lessons from others, we intend to be the first to document our journey from start to finish. This is simply a documentary of our lives, and as such, we do not monetize these videos, so enjoy the ad-free content. Each episode is broken down into 3 segments, each covering our progress over the past week. We start by discussing our life updates, then our business updates, and lastly, we share any lessons we've learned over the past week. We have timestamps in the description to navigate these sections easily. Today is March 30th, 2026, and we're recording episode 102. So, what is your life update this week?
Sorry, I was dealing with my espresso-ness.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, the top was leaking, and I was like trying to wipe my hands around somewhere.
Good. Not on the
think
couch,
it is.
though. Not on.
Oh, I wiped it on the couch. Yeah, it's on video. There's no lying there. Sorry, my bad. Anyways, my life update this week is rather short.
Okay.
So I worked at Blue Origin, did some testing work and training work. That's pretty much it. And then Sunday night when I got home from Sebring, Sebring to Orlando is where I went because I'll tell you about it. But yeah, I was parked there. So I went to Orlando, and Sammy was in Orlando with a couple of friends. So I hung out with them last night just for a little bit and then went home. But that's about it I got for life stuff.
What did you guys do in Orlando?
We went to this bar called PBR that had a mechanical bull there.
Did you ride?
I did. It was pretty fun. It got like 40-something seconds.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So I did that.
After a full weekend of manual labor, that's really good, actually.
Oh, yeah. I had a beer, too. I was freaking exhausted. Screw it. Yeah, I got a beer, and then I asked for one more, and she poured me a vodka soda, which was like way too strong. It's just like, it was a lot more than a shot in that vodka soda. I was like, brr. Yeah. Anyways, that was nice. A little relaxing. Did that, and then went home. And then, Blue Origin's been good overall. This week is super slow. But last week, did a little bit of like odd end stuff and working on testing and test building and whatever. So did that. But I was out Thursday, Friday from work because of my business update. So in terms of life stuff was relatively short this week.
Cool.
So that's what I got.
All right.
What do you have for life this week?
Very slightly more, I think. I tried to drag that one out so that it actually shows up on the timeline.
I know. I was thinking about that. It's gonna be like a 20-second.
It's okay.
Timestamp.
It's so funny. Over the weeks, I'll like just skip through the videos real quick, and I'll watch the size of the bars change, and it's consistently like introduction, Sanders life update, business updates, Mason's life update, Sanders life update, and then like it's always smaller. Anyways. So my life update this week, I took photos of everything, all the businesses that I went to in Oklahoma last weekend. And I went through and I left Google reviews on all the businesses because that's something that I like to do from a real estate perspective, because then if people see that I have reviewed these businesses, then, it adds to my credibility as someone who knows the area. It also helps me learn the area. And then also on top of that, I really like supporting other businesses by leaving them genuine feedback. So for example, the hotel that we stayed in Enid sucked. It was terrible. It was really bad. The towels had stains, the bed sheets had stains. There was rips in the carpet. It was not great. But in my review, I was honest in my review because Grace and I were talking about it and we were both like, this is unacceptable. There's like health and safety risks here.
Yeah.
And in my review, I was honest and I said, hey, this did not impress. But it was like $60 a night. And that's not an exception for health and safety hazards. It is an exception for like, the towels were really thin. Okay, well, it's $60 a night, right? And so I left in my review, I was like, this is honestly like a clean set of linens away from being like a 3-star hotel because you get what you pay for, right?
Yeah.
But it's a 1 because of how nasty it is, right? And so that's honest feedback. But I even did stuff for like the gas station out there because I really love how integrated the town is with the Air Force Base. And so We went to a Sinclair's gas station. Like I've never been to a Sinclair's before. It might be a big brand, it might not. I don't know.
It
It's
is
got
a pretty big brand.
it's got a dinosaur on the thing. I thought that was
It
cool.
does.
But the employees there were really nice. It was the nicest interaction with a gas station employee I've ever had. And I went 3 or 4 times to get energy drinks, and they were nice every time.
Cool.
And so I left a positive review, and so that was a good feeling. So I wrote all my reviews. It's the first thing I did when I got back home. So that was fun. I also looked through all the photos that we took on our trip. Grace went through and edited a bunch of them. There's some really cool ones.
I saw them pop up on social media.
Yeah. So Carter asked us not to post photos of select parts of our trip, but he greenlit the ones that we post. So everything that we have posted is stuff that we're allowed to show, and the stuff that we're not allowed to show, I can show you after the podcast. I just can't put them online. And he didn't say why he didn't want us to put them online. At the time, I had kind of assumed that it was just him being humble. Like he just didn't want to brag about certain events, right? Which is completely valid. And then another side of me thought, oh, I don't post select work items that I'm technically allowed to post online because I don't want to make myself a target. And it's probably a lot easier for a foreign adversary to take a pilot out when they're not in their aircraft. And so that might be another reason why he doesn't want to post that stuff. I don't know. In any case, I didn't post the stuff he didn't ask me to post, and it was okay. And I was looking for a song to pair with the Instagram post. Something that I have enjoyed doing lately when I'm making posts is I'll take a song that has similar meaning to what the post is about, and then I'll pair the song with that. And so I like the dual meaning of it's a song that I feel when I look at those photos, and it's also a song that literally represents what the situation is, right?
Yeah.
And so I've been listening to a lot of Gordon Lightfoot lately, and I listened to it on our trip, and I was like, I'll pick a Gordon Lightfoot song to pair with the post. And there's a song called Don Quixote, which is a song about a book. But the lyrics in the song talk about how there's a brave young horseman who is wise, but he's reckless, but he is kind, but he's mean. Like he's both things, right? He's a rounded person, right? And I was like, oh man, that's perfectly representative of how I feel about my brother. Because I have always seen one side of him, and he really showed me a much more professional and dedicated and like high work ethic side of him on this trip. And so that's a very fitting post. And then I actually learned about the lyrics, and it's not about that at all. It's like the lyrics literally mean one thing, but when you put it into the context of the song is written about a book that was written in like the 1880s or something like that. It's about a knight who is a protector of a king, and he believes in chivalry, but he's protecting the king, so he sees all the political terribleness going on. And so he goes crazy because he's protecting a terrible person, even though chivalry is supposed to be protecting good people. And so he goes crazy, and he starts to travel the world to try to spread the good message of chivalry. But everywhere he goes, no one will listen because everyone realizes, kind of like the 42 rules of power that you read the other week, that's not what makes the world go. And so he just continues to go from town to town, losing his mind, telling people about this, right? Which is not really the message of the trip to Vance Air Force Base, but I took it to be my literal meaning that I felt when I listened to the song.
Fair enough.
So that's what I paired up. And then as I was doing that, I was looking for other songs that might fit as well. And so I started to listen to more of Gordon Lightfoot's discography. And I'm at the point now where I only listen to his music. I'm not listening to any other artist's music. And last year, Grace listened to a lot of Sabrina Carpenter. And it was maybe like every other song that we played when we were in the car together. And she was in the top like 5% of all Sabrina Carpenter listeners last year.
I was in the top like 0.01% of this one random European EDM artist. It's like, which is this super one-off thing. I was like within, like within the top 100 worldwide or something like
So
that.
crazy.
Yeah.
So Sabrina Carpenter has 64 million monthly listeners, and Grace was in the top 5%. I have been playing Gordon Lightfoot a lot, and there's no signs of stopping, and he has 3 million listeners a month. So I think
you'll probably be
there's
way up there.
dude, there's a non-zero chance that I'm the number one Gordon Lightfoot listener at the end of the year because this train is showing no signs of stopping. There's so many great songs that I like. You know how you'll find an artist and you'll be like, oh, I'm gonna go listen to their discography, and you get through like 4 albums and there's like 2 songs that you like really like enough to save. Every album has like 2 or 3 songs that I save and treasure and love and learn inside and out. Every album has heaters on it. And so I've been, it's legally defined as torture to play the same song to someone over and over again on repeat. It's torture technique that the CIA uses, and I've been using that on Grace lately because I have just been playing the same Gordon Lightfoot songs. So that's the first big section of my life update. The next part is related to Northrop Grumman. So work has been crazy lately, continuing to be crazy. It will be crazy until the end of April, and then it dies down for everyone else, and then continues to be crazy for me. But we had our end of the first quarter reviews with our functional managers, and my functional manager, I think he sucks, but I don't know, because everyone who I talk to about their functional managers sounds like their managers suck too. So he's probably a pretty average functional manager, but the entire system of functional management is just completely brain dead. The idea that a guy who sits in a different building working on a different like task entirely with a different team is in charge of like where I go in my career is completely unreal. But anyways, in our quarterly review, the review went exactly like this. It was 35 seconds. Ready? He was like, "Hey, so we've got your quarterly review today. I don't see anything in the notes section that you have written down. So just what do you want to talk about?" And I was like, I don't know. What do you want to know? And he was like, "Well, if you don't have any questions, then I guess we can wrap it up." And I was like, "Okay." Then that was it. That's my whole quarterly review. It was like, "Do you have any questions?" And my only question is, why have I not been promoted yet in 4 years? And the answer is always the same, which is like, "Oh, well, they're on a big hiring freeze right now or whatever." But the hiring freeze is over. They are promoting people. And this upcoming promoting cycle, in my quarterly review, I told him, I was like, "Hey, I did not put anything for my quarterly notes because I'm just too fucking busy. But what do I have to do to get a promotion this cycle? Because I am sick of waiting and I'm being underpaid and overworked." And he was like, "Oh, um, there's a CJCS, which is the Common Job Classification System. And essentially, it's a big fucking Excel sheet that breaks down all the different job roles in Northrop Grumman at every different position. So, like for me, there's systems engineer level 1 through 7, and each section has a definition for what makes for a level 3 engineer, level 4 engineer. And last year, quarter one, I took those definitions, I wrote them out and compared them all. And then I wrote why my statement of work requires a higher level engineer and why I am meeting those definitions without being paid as a level 2 or 3 engineer. And at the time, my conclusion was I meet the classification for a level 2 engineer in every capacity. And I even meet it for a level 3 engineer at like 1 or 2 of them, right? And so this year, my functional manager was like, "Why don't you write that for me again?" And I was like, "Awesome," because we went really far with it last time. Sounds good. So I told him that like 2 weeks ago, and I didn't do it because I'm busy doing actual work, right? But this past week, I was told March 27th is the last day to get your notes in. So I was like, "Okay, that's an off Friday." So I went in on my off Friday to do this write up. And it was a long ass fucking, I mean, it's 20 pages or something like that. But this time around, with all my new work that I've done in the past year, I am meeting level 3 engineer criteria on like 80% of them. And so there's a very strong argument to be made here that I should just skip level 2 entirely and should just go to a level 3. And so I finished it and I sent it to him on the 27th. Then I realized he's out of office because it's an off Friday. And so I texted him personally and I was like, "Hey, I sent you that thing. Not sure if you have to get it in before the 27th. Like you might have to log on to the low side laptop, or maybe it can wait till Monday. I don't know. But just so you know, no reply." I also email him at work and on Friday, right? So I come in on Monday. Is today Monday? I come in on Monday today, no reply. And so I message him on our like Teams communication at work, no reply. I'm like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, can you just tell me that you received it? Can you just confirm?" Because sometimes documents don't send. I get it. But like, I've reached out to you on 3 different platforms now, and you're not getting back to me. And so I checked with a different functional manager who works on my team, and I was like, "Did I miss the deadline? Like, did I wait too long?" Because technically I got it in on the last day before close of business, so it counts, but it was an off Friday. I get it. And he was like, "Oh, no, he can go in and add it afterward. It's okay." But he's not filling me with confidence that he's going to go fight for a promotion for me, right? And so It is aggravating, but I think I'm gonna have to call him at work and I'll be like, listen, dude, like if you don't get me this promotion, then I'm just gonna go get a job offer from somewhere else for way more money. And then like I'm gonna put you in a really shitty position because it does not look good for functional managers if someone on your team that you're responsible for gets an offer somewhere else and leaves. So I guess I have to try that. But anyways, that took up a bunch of time on my off Friday this week. I had to work extra hard to get caught up from the days I missed last week, and then also get enough work done that I wouldn't have to work Friday so that I could dedicate all my time on Friday to doing that write-up. Um, my last life update is my Whoop strap smells terrible. No matter how much I wash it, it just permanently stinks. And so I went online to try to buy a new strap. They don't make this is the Whoop 4.0. When I was in college in 2020, when we were shut down for COVID, Whoop had the 3.0 out. My college coaches bought everyone on our team a Whoop 3.0 to track our workouts because we couldn't work out as a team. So they were at-home workouts and they didn't trust us to actually do them. So they would track us using the Whoops, right? During college, Whoop came out with the 4.0. They collected our threes, turned them in. We got fours for free, right? When I graduated college, FIT stopped paying the monthly subscription for me, but I still owned the hardware. And so I picked up the monthly subscription, which Whoop usually doesn't offer. But because I had been a member for so long, they offered, hey, it's a $30 a month subscription, which is $360 a year, or you can do our annual, which is like $250 a year or something like that. So you get a deal. And at the time I was like, I don't know if I want to do a whole year or not. Like I'm not an athlete anymore, so maybe it doesn't matter. So I have been paying monthly. And as time has gone on, I found it to actually be pretty valuable, especially because I figured out my cholesterol is fucked from my doctor. And so I was like, oh man, there's a couple months or maybe a year that I didn't use it when I was just out of college. I really wish I had that data. So even if it's not important to me like today, I'm gonna keep it because it might be important to me down the road. So that leads me to today, where I go online and they don't make a strap for the Whoop 4.0 anymore. They have recently, in May of 2025, so less than a year ago, they came out with the Whoop 5.0 and the Whoop MG, which is the medical grade Whoop, right? It looks exactly the same, but it measures different things. It measures everything the 5 does and then some. So it's an upsell, right? The whole reason I'm talking about this is because it's a really interesting business model and it's part of my life update. But so if you who don't own a Whoop want to buy into the Whoop 5.0, you give them like $500 for the hardware, and then you pay a monthly subscription fee in the form of an annual payment. So you pay a full year of monthly subscription all at once, right? They have a couple different plans, right? There's the one where it just tracks your heart rate for like $150 a year. There's one that tracks your heart rate and your biological age and all the shit that I have, which is $250 a year. Or there's the super plan, which does all that shit. And if you have the Whoop MG, it's got an ECG in it, an electrocardiogram. And so it measures heart arrhythmias and your blood pressure. That's $360 a year, right? Since I already own the Whoop 4.0 and have been a user for so long, they're offering to just upgrade me to the 5 or the MG for free. So I don't pay for the hardware. Instead, I have to leave my monthly subscription and do the annual subscription, right? Alternatively, I could pay a small fee and get the hardware and then stick to my monthly subscription. So they're really letting me tailor it to exactly what I want to do, which I really highly value. It's a great downsell, right? But thinking about it, I was like, I mean, I kind of want the best thing I can get, which is the medical grade 1 MG, right? Also, the 5.0 is not subject to software updates in the future, but the MG is. And so they have hinted that instead of coming out with a Whoop 6.0, they're going to be coming out with like Tesla style updates to the MG in the next few years. So it's beneficial to get the MG now. So looking at my options, I can either pay a fee and then stick to my $30 a month or $360 a year subscription, or I can get the MG for free, get the most expensive $360 a year subscription, which gives me more stuff than I have now for the same price, but I pay it up front. And so I decided to do that.
Cool.
So I just pay the $360 up front. My MG is in the mail. And when I went to check out, they did something really interesting. They gave me the option to gift the Whoop 4.0 to a friend. Instead of just throwing it out, they said, we'll send you a box and a cleaning kit and a new strap. And you clean it up and you put it in a box, and then you give it to a friend or a family member. And you can either give them 2 free months of the medium grade plan that I have right now, or a year of the basic plan for like a 50% reduced rate. And I was like, oh, dude, this is really cool. And Grace was like, I would love to try it out. And so I was like, okay, so I got the box for free and the 2 months of the medium plan for free to give to her. And so I checked out and got everything. And it's in the mail on the way. But I was like, that is such a cool fucking like way to turn a current client into 2 clients. When they upgrade, you just have them give the old hardware to someone else and sign them up too. And the downsell for tailoring the next step to exactly what you want is just so fucking smart. I really love it. And I've been in a couple Reddit threads where people are complaining that the 5.0 isn't as accurate as the 4.0, but that was all the month it came out. And there's a 2-week learning period where the 5.0 needs time to get used to you and learn your algorithm. And so I haven't seen anything recently about how it's not accurate. So I'm hoping that that's all it was.
That's
because
cool.
I'm going on to the MG and we're going to go from there. Additionally, the Whoop 5.0 and MG have been officially granted clearance from the NSA to be taken into SCIFs, so classified spaces. And so it's always up to the CPSO, the Chief Program Security Office. So like, if I go to Northrop and they say no, I have to oblige by that. But the NSA allowing it in SCIFs is a good indicator that I might be able to wear this in the office, which would be pretty cool.
That would be sweet.
So that's my life update.
Very nice. Very nice.
What's your business update?
So for business this week, relatively busy-ish, I'd say. So for perspective, starting off in the week, I was working Monday through Wednesday in the storage unit, reorganizing stuff. We brought a bunch more stuff to
New
it.
stuff.
Yeah. So that was a lot of body panels, random interior components, the race car roll cage and chassis. So there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff. And so I spent a good amount of time in there organizing it, and I started thinking about how to lay it out, and I was thinking about different ways and kind of planning it out. And I decided that the way to make the best use of the space, because of the orange roller as well, the orange roller you saw, I took out and dropped at my house.
Yep.
But I've decided I want to bring it back there
Mm-hmm.
because I want it inside. And if I shuffle the 2 chassis in there as much as I can, I have about 6 inches of clearance to get that orange car in through, with the shelves now moved to that side of the unit. So it's car, shelves.
All shelves.
All shelves.
So there's no space in front of the car?
No, there's a bunch of space in front of the car. That's where all of the chassis, roll cage, panels, suspension components.
Man, so you're moving all those shelves that are in front of the car.
I already moved them all.
Got it. So
Yeah.
they're all moved to the right now.
Yeah, so it was a lot of work.
Got it.
I just remember this too. So I was working Tuesday night. I was moving all this stuff, and this is after work. You know, it's tiring moving this stuff. You know.
Yeah.
And so I was moving those big frame components and pieces by myself.
Yeah. They're heavy.
And yeah, they're heavy. And so I was moving those by myself, tired, and it's like it gets to like 11 p.m. and I checked the weather. It was like all clear and fine. And it gets to 11 p.m. and I'm on top of a car. You know where this is going. It starts drizzling.
Yeah.
It starts drizzling. I'm like, fuck. And so at this point, I had a bunch of stuff on the floor. I couldn't put everything back in. So I just started putting as much as I could back in.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any electronics or interior components that were bad to get wet outside.
Yeah.
So that stuff didn't get wet at all. But some stuff like rubber interior gaskets, engine components, some engine components, not the heads, some like knickknack stuff.
They all got cleaned.
The suspension components, brake components, and that stuff. Like that stuff's fine to get wet. You know, it gets wet when you drive outside. So
Yeah.
but that stuff got wet, and I didn't have a tarp because I've been using the tarp for Sammy's bike. And so I had that big green blanket, and it was only drizzling at the time. So I was like, I'll throw this on. And I couldn't really close the lids on the bins because there's stuff everywhere and whatever. So I just threw it over, and it just poured rain. And so it rained for like an hour. I was waiting this out. I was like, fuck, dude. And so I got out there, and there was like 2 inches of water in every bin. It's like, oh my
man.
God.
That's terrible,
It was
dude.
horrible.
And heavy.
Oh, dude. And so I had to drain that water out at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I finished up at like 1:30 in the morning, draining the water out. And the stuff was still wet.
And the whole time you're draining water, you're not making progress on what
Oh,
you're there to
no.
do. You're just getting the water out.
Right, exactly. That was so frustrating about it. And so then I went back the next day, Wednesday, and I spent the whole day taking apart all those bins and wiping down all the fabric and other stuff that had gotten wet because there was some leather pieces and stuff like that. And also like water sitting at the bottom of like a brake bin is not the best thing in the world.
Right.
So, it's okay to get wet, but for it to sit in water is not great. So I spent a bunch of time pulling all that stuff out. It actually kind of worked out because I was able to reorganize it as such because I had Sammy run and grab me some new bins as well.
Cool.
So that I could reorganize into more bins and actually get the lids on because I realized I had to be able to get the lids on almost every single bin in order to make my strategy work
To stack them.
because I had to stack.
Yeah.
And so it actually worked out. It was a lot of work and I'm not done. Most all of the bins are organized. At this point, if I get the orange car back over there, I can finish in one night. It's close enough to that point to where it's okay.
You don't want to finish first and then get the orange car over.
The orange car has some parts in it.
So you have to get the orange car over to finish it.
Kinda, yeah.
Gotcha.
But the orange car, I decide I'm just gonna push it there because it rolls real easy. Okay, I'm gonna have Sammy drive in the driver's seat. Because you can take back road access roads behind the high school and not ever get out onto a main road.
That's good.
Just back roads. And so I'm just gonna push it there because it's like 7/10 of a mile. Like it's not that long. And once you get the car rolling to like walking pace, it pretty much rolls itself because all the wheel bearings have been rebuilt. And so you
Yeah, it
essentially
does
just
roll
walk
really
with it.
well.
Yeah.
Really well.
Yes. So that's what I'm gonna do for that and what I have done this week. And then
Oh yeah, well
eventually-
you just go down to Jackson and then you take it across. Yeah.
yeah, it's super easy.
Yeah, that's not as far as I thought it was.
Yeah.
That's good.
So that's what I'll do there. And then I was gonna get that welder. I think I talked about it last week on the podcast. The guy was being real shady and weird.
Okay.
So I ended up bailing on it. He just stopped responding to my messages,
Oh,
and the listing was still active and not sold.
so wait, did you go look at it or no?
I didn't go okay because he never sent me an address.
Oh,
But also, I was a little bit sketched out about it because it was a good deal. And I had one instance where I was looking at a car and the guy would respond initially. And then when it came to the day of viewing, he stopped responding.
weird.
And I had his address at the time and I went there and it was a super sketchy situation. The car had clearly been stolen, like very, very clearly.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering, like, this smelled like a similar case. Then I was like, I don't want to get involved in this.
It's a good idea.
And so I just called it. I called Dusty and I was like, hey man, like this guy's sketching me out. Like I'm gonna pass.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with this. Especially someone I don't know in the Palm Bay area. Not anything against Palm Bay, but every single sketchy experience I've had has been in the Palm Bay area. So
There's higher crime in Palm Bay than there is beachside.
yes, there is. That is a true fact. So I passed on that. And I haven't gotten to the fabrication courses because I've been either working in the storage unit or working at Sebring this weekend. So that's still on the list. And I didn't list the stuff on eBay yet because of the same reason.
Yeah.
Just trying to get the eBay stuff done. The
only
rain
so
put
many
a
hours
big
you can.
hindrance on it because I essentially wasted a day because the way I had to throw the stuff back into the unit as it started raining essentially ruined my progress.
Yeah. Also, you were out for half the week, and it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
So
I was out
like,
for like a solid 4 days.
Right.
Like completely out. Like not.
I mean, the
here.
fact that you've made that amount of progress in the 2 or 3, I mean, really only one day because we loaded it
Yeah,
up
it's like
Monday.
a day and a half.
Yeah. But I mean, there's just so much stuff that like,
Yeah.
you need
I definitely
hours.
worked hard on it.
Right. You need time, you need hours and energy too. So
Yeah, that's for sure. But then continuing to the business update, the bulk of it is my weekend in Sebring.
but Steve said that he would lend you his welder, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah. So
So-
the other thing too is that Steve said that he could just lend me his welder for free for
So-
as long as I want.
so
So that's
this-
probably what I'm going to end up doing.
Yeah, the sketchy guy bailing on you isn't that bad because you've got a really solid backup.
Yeah. It's a good Winkin welder, does MIG. So
Yeah,
that's good. But yeah, the bulk of my business update comes in for my track day support at Sebring this week. That was Thursday through Sunday. And that was with Zots Racing. They do Porsches only. So I first got to the shop 8 a.m. Thursday morning. Got to the shop, and they have like half a dozen 914 race cars there, because the owner's really big into 914s. And then they have a selection of 911s and a few other odd end stuff and whatever. So get there, super cool shop, load up all the trailers, stuff like that. We leave around 1 p.m. and get to Sebring around 4:30 in order to load in. And so we get there, we unpack all the canopies, get all the stuff out, etc. And I get back to the house, the Airbnb house, with all the guys around 8 p.m.
It's a full day.
So yeah, very full day.
12 hours.
Yeah. Super full day.
12 hours plus a drive to Orlando.
Yeah. Plus a drive to Orlando. So long day. But then Friday, got up and got to the track at 7 a.m. Airbnb is like 20 minutes away from the track.
It's not bad.
Yeah, so not bad. Got to the track around 7 a.m. and that was the first day of practicing. So there was 2 GT4 Club Sports there, a Cayman that had been converted into a race car, actually 2 Caymans that had been converted into race cars. So that was what was there that day. First session, one of the GT4 Club Sports, the gearbox went out, PDK gearbox went out. Yikes. So that sucked. And then next session, the other GT4 Club Sport, the gentleman driving, bent it into the wall.
How bad?
Bad. Not like bad to hurt him, but he was actually shockingly was able to drive it back to our pit. But the right front had been like completely crushed in. He broke the radiator, bent that whole area of the car. Suspension, both lower control arms were broken.
He drove back on broken control.
The car was being held in by the upper control arm and the
tie rods.
This tie rod was holding in. It was bent like a banana, like that.
Jesus Christ.
He came in and he braked coming into our tent pit. The whole friggin' wheel shifted backwards and picked up that corner of the car.
Yikes.
When he braked. It was like, whoop, like,
yikes.
Yeah, bad. Yeah.
So did you have to fix all that?
So we didn't have all the parts to fix it. So
did you fix the transmission?
The transmission, it needs a new transmission.
So that's back at the shop.
That's back at the shop, yeah. So those 2 cars were out day 1.
Got it. So Friday, that's it.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
But we still had 2 other cars. So we got done around 6 p.m. that day, supporting their drivers and stuff like that.
So what kind of stuff did you do?
I'll go into that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just going through kind of the schedule first. Sure. Saturday, we had 2 extra people arrive who were like weekend guys like me, but they're going to UCF right now. So they arrived for Saturday, Sunday, not Thursday through Sunday.
Gotcha.
And so they came in, and also an old 911 race car came in. I think it was a 78. I didn't get the exact year on it. But he came in as well. And
so wait, the UCF guys aren't driving; they're just here to help.
Yeah, they're like me.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. But a 911 guy is driving.
Correct. Yeah.
Understood.
So we had a 911 come in, and then one of the GT4 Club Sports, the one that had the bad transmission, he actually rented a car from Zots, and so another car got trailered down to us.
Cool.
A different. It was a Cayman that had gotten converted.
Another race car had gotten converted.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So he drove that for the weekend, so he got a replacement car.
Did he own the one that the transmission blew up?
Mm-hmm.
So his personal car blew up, so he had to rent.
He rented one.
Got it.
Shop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, just to get some driving out of the weekend.
Yeah.
So did that, and so the guy who his transmission blew up, his daughter was there, and she was wanting to drive on track as well. And so it was like a daughter father kind of thing. They were swapping back and forth, and she was working with an instructor.
Cool.
So that was neat. It was her first time on track, so super green. And it was a funny incident. One of the kids from UCF, he's struggling a little bit, with the trackside support. I just don't think it comes super naturally to him.
Okay.
Just like common sense stuff. If you've been around cars long enough, like he doesn't really get.
Do you have an example?
Yeah, I do. Like pouring fuel into a car, like he struggles to keep the nozzle in the actual spout. And so the nozzle will pop up and piss fuel all over the car.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
You've
Or
got
like
the big drums.
using tools, like it's not intuitive for him in that sense. But there's also some other stuff like, like asking questions that are worrisome. Stuff like that. So with the example that I have this was his daughter's first time out on track. And when they come into pit, as soon as you see the car coming in, you run out to the main line there where everyone's lined up.
Yep.
In the actual tent area, not like the hot pit, but the tent area. You run out, you get in front of them,
Right.
and then you direct them back, like left, right, whatever.
To back him into the tent.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's hard for them to see out of this cage with mirrors.
Well, with the helmet on as well.
And also, they're coming off the track tired. Like they don't want to think about that shit, right?
Yeah.
And
there's no reverse camera in a race car.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so
Did
like
the kids stand directly behind the car?
no,
Okay,
it's worse than that.
Oh shit. Okay.
So common sense says that if I'm standing, you're the car, right? If I want you to turn the wheel this way, I point this way. If I want you to turn the wheel this way, I point this way, right? Common sense, right? So you're backing the car up and you're pointing.
Yep.
Okay. He was pointing the opposite direction of the way he wanted the driver to turn the steering wheel. This was approximately 2 days plus of us trying to teach him which direction to point.
Turning the steering wheel to the right turns the car to the right.
I know.
When you're reversing.
Trust me, we thought about this for a long time.
Is he a special needs hire?
I don't think so.
How did he get the position? Is he an engineer? Do you know what his degree
Yeah,
is?
he's in engineering.
Civil?
Yeah. What?
Civil?
No, mechanical. I know. It was, but like he was like really struggling with this for whatever reason.
Is he a football player?
No, this skinny kid, like way skinnier than I am, and I'm pretty.
Was he nervous? Was he scared?
I don't know if he was nervous or scared, but it's also not that fucking hard to figure out left and right.
It's not that hard. Is he a freshman?
No, he's a sophomore or junior.
But he's at UCF.
He is at UCF.
That's the answer. I was hung up. I was like, this isn't adding up. And then I realized it's UCF. That makes sense.
Anyways, so like, it was like,
I know a couple
there was no way like that. Like, it's not hard to like screw that up. You know what I mean?
No, it's
you
not.
point the direction of which you want them to turn the wheel. And then that makes the car go in that direction. Like if I point this way, they turn the wheel that way, and then the car goes that way. Like it's all lined up. It's not like a trailer situation where you're sometimes pointing in the opposit direction for the driver, and sometimes you're pointing in the same direction if you want to follow the trailer, right?
A trailer's
that
tougher,
gets more complicated,
right?
Because then you got to know like how the trailer actually moves. But like this ain't hard.
This ain't hard.
And so, anyways, that was
you tried multiple times to teach him.
Oh, like not shitting you, over a dozen times.
Dude.
And so he was directing the car, and he directed her incorrectly into the spot.
And it's her first time driving.
It's her first time driving, and I was over doing something else. I think I was fueling another car, watching him, and I was like, "Oh my god," because this is already like the 5th time we've tried to teach him this left or right thing, and he's still screwing it up.
Yeah.
And so then I was fueling this car, and I hear him over my ear explaining to her how when he points this way, he wants the wheel to turn that way. And when he points that way, he wants the wheel to turn this way, because that's how it's done, right? I think part of it was that this girl was around his age. She's younger than I am. She's a senior in high school, so like, I don't know, 18, something in that range. And he's probably like 21, right? 20.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think he was a little bit trying to hit on her or whatever. Anyways, doesn't matter.
It's
like he was
tough
trying
to hit on
like
someone
authority, like and so
this is the way it's done, sweetheart.
I overheard it.
Direction.
I know, it's like fuck. I know. Good first impression. Anyways, I overheard it.
Yeah.
And I ran over there, and I was like, dude, like the girl's there, mother and father are there. He's there. And I was like I just couldn't let it fucking happen.
Good.
Like I could not listen to this, because I was like, this is her first time on track. She's gonna get fucking confused.
Yep.
Right?
She's gonna get frustrated. She's not
You're
gonna
talking with the customers and giving them incorrect information. no one else is overhearing this or seeing this because they're over on the other side attending to a different car over there.
Right.
I was like, I ran over and I was like, no.
Yep.
You point the direction you want them to turn the steering wheel. It is your responsibility to figure out where the car needs to go. The driver is not going to turn the opposite of the direction you're pointing. They're coming off track. It's hot. They're tired. It has to be mindless and simple for the driver.
And there's no way for it to
You
make sense.
have to do the calculation for which way you want them to turn the wheel.
It's not a
None of this opposite shit. And additionally, every single other person on this team points in the direction they want the steering wheel to turn. Every single other person.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do it differently, it's going to screw it up for these drivers.
Yeah. Well, okay. So there's 3 different things here, right? Firstly, you're in, because like you direct me in like this when I'm in the Camaro coming into your garage, right?
Yeah.
You're driving the Camaro and I'm directing you, and I point this way, right?
I turn this way.
Which way do you turn the steering wheel to get the car to go this way, right?
Yeah. Right,
Now,
exactly.
now I'm having you reverse because you went too far in.
I know.
And I point the steering wheel this way. What way do you turn the wheel? There's no.
And the car goes that way. There's
only
no case. I know. I
Right.
know.
Right. So there's.
Trust me, I thought about this. I tried.
Now, what if you're standing behind the car and you're giving them directions in the mirror? Because now it's reversed because they're in the mirror, right? Except it's not. It's because you're facing the same way.
I know.
So even if you're behind the car in the mirror and you're pointing, it's the same direction.
Yep. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But here's the real issue. Because it's her first time on track, it's her first time doing this. And if he teaches her wrong, then when track marshals direct her when she spins out, she's going to do it wrong on track. And that's a safety hazard because she was taught wrong by this sped who was trying to mansplain it to her the first time.
It's a great point. And so I had to run over there. I was like, I can't let this happen.
Good.
And so I ran over there and I was a little bit abrupt.
You should.
I was trying to be polite, but I was a little bit abrupt. And like, obviously the girl was like a little bit freaked out.
Understandable.
Like, I went over there and I was like, no.
Yeah.
And
she doesn't know who to listen to now. Yeah.
And so then I gave it 30 minutes. I went back to her and I was like, hey, like, apologies if I made you uncomfortable. I just wanted to make sure that your first day on track, you got the right information and that the team is in coherence in regards to how to back cars up so that you feel comfortable and you don't have to think about the process when you come in from the pits.
Right.
And like, she was like, oh yeah, no, like, thank you, blah, blah, blah. And like, the mother was super nice as well. I chatted with the mother. I gave her some tips about like good viewing areas around Sebring as well. And she was super thankful. So like all good and dandy.
Yeah.
But like, I just like, I had to do that because I was like, I can't let this happen.
How did he get the internship?
They're just so short on people. I think they're like, yeah, we'll try him out.
Fair.
Because
Like,
we're all 1099.
I understand why, like, there's a couple different, like, nuanced things that you might not understand, right? Like the different flags. I mean, even when you and I were there, we were like, what the fuck is a white flag with a yellow stripe? What
Yeah,
is that?
even I had to look that up
Yeah,
because I hadn't seen it.
Those types of things I understand, right? The pit lane at first was confusing to me because there aren't any grid boxes. It's just like a concrete wall, and then you jump over it where your team's shit is, right?
Right.
So it's not like a standard pit garage where there's like the crew access arm and the number with your car on it or anything like that. Like, there's a few things that you might need to have explained to you the first time, right? But actually, I can tie this into other shit, but I'm not gonna. So, generally speaking, you can tell how competent a person is or how like good they are at something by how coachable they are. So, like, if they fuck something up and you correct them, do you have to correct them again and again and again and again? Right?
Oh yeah.
And if it's on something as simple as pointing a car in, it's like, how am I going to teach you how to fix, like, you might have to do a brake swap in the middle of an endurance race. So like, if you fuck the brakes up, you can kill a driver.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to take you got to start calling him fingers or mittens or something like that. You guys should have call signs. In the military, the pilot call sign is because you did something stupid. So like my brother's buddies called their guy wows the weight on wheel switch because while the weight on wheel switch is down, he does not have a brain. He misses shit. He doesn't strap himself into the seatbelts, but as soon as he's up in the air, he's incredible, right? So they call him wows. There's a couple other examples, but
yeah.
In any case, you should call him like mittens or something like that.
Oh, I'm gonna call him toucans because of another story I got.
Keep going.
Yeah. Oh, dude, like I want to take a moment
to actually enforce that though. Enforce nicknames.
Dude, like broad spectrum over this weekend, I had a ton of fun.
Cool.
It was really nice to get back out on track. Like the
Did you get to
auto
drive?
shop. No, I didn't drive it.
At the track.
No, no, no.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it was just nice to be at the track.
Yeah.
It was nice to be in that environment again. You know, it's very similar to an auto shop environment where it's like, you know, joking around and
boys.
enjoying time. Yeah, exactly. So really nice weekend. But I actually wasn't there for this incident, but it's really fucking funny. So the front brake calipers on the dually we were using to tow the trailer to Sebring started to walk up towards the end of our drive to Sebring.
Okay.
Front brake calipers.
Got it.
And so we had WorldPack actually send us new ones so that we could change them at the track.
Smart.
And drive home.
Smart.
Got the calipers going. One of the senior guys is changing the calipers, and the other kid is kind of helping him out. And so they're going through this process, and the senior guy is like, "Can you bring me 2 cans of brake clean?" Right? Because he wants to clean off the wheel and whatever.
Yeah.
And so the kid runs over, he grabs 2 cans and he brings them back. And
2 cans of brake clean?
he brought 2 empty cans of brake clean. Empty, bro. Empty cans of brake clean, bro. And so this senior guy looks at me, he's like, 2 full cans. Dude, when he told me that shit, I was freaking crying, dude. I was crying laughing. It was so funny. It was the next day, dude. And I thought of that story, like in the middle of the day. I just started laughing. I couldn't. It was
That's
so
terrible, dude.
It was just, I think honestly, like he gets himself into a spot where he is like that anxiety mind where you just can't think. Like you're rushing so much to try and make something right because you've done a few things wrong that you end up doing a bunch of things wrong.
Yeah, it snowballs.
And so I feel bad for him to some extent, but I got some good memes out of it.
It's also an experience thing because like if you've never held a can of brake clean or hairspray before and you pick up a can that's half used, that kind of feels like a can that's completely empty. It's only if you have taken a can of brake clean from full to empty in a minute and a half by spraying the transmission tunnel straight and getting it in your eyes. Like many a time I've like cracked the seal on a can of brake clean and emptied it out all at once, right? And so like, you know through experience the weight difference, right?
Yeah.
But if you're green and you've never held a brake clean can before, right? Like, you know, he's not going to know. It sounds like he's just new and like kind of simple. The concerning thing is that he doesn't seem to learn quickly. That's the problem.
That is the main issue.
Because if you can teach someone like, hey, this is empty and here's what a full one feels like, and you only learn that lesson once, that's fine. I can teach anything.
You got to teach it week after week. It's a problem.
Yeah, and if you're the primary concern there is he's not doing the catering, you know, he's working on the brakes.
Right.
And that's a fucking big issue,
right.
You know.
Exactly.
It's so funny that I brought up the brake example and then you brought up the exact real brake example.
Yeah.
That's concerning.
But yeah, so those are funny. Anyways, Saturday was from like 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then Sunday.
So, I'm sorry to interrupt. What kind of running was on Saturday?
So this whole weekend was DE, which is like driver experience stuff.
Okay.
So it's essentially like track days with sessions based on skill level.
Okay. Got it.
No racing, just track days, sessions, testing, stuff like that.
Okay.
So that's what we were there for.
Okay.
Good place to kind of like learn some habits and like how stuff works and stuff like that.
Got it.
Because my next event will be a race weekend in Road Atlanta, and I don't want to fuck that up. You know what I mean?
Study brake clean weight.
But it's like, you know, like I want to make sure I got my because there are nuances, right?
Yeah, for sure.
In terms of like, for example, every time a driver gets out, you debrief them with some simple questions. Like what? How was your session? Did anything feel off? You know,
before the next guy gets in.
When they're getting out, you put your hand between the roll cage and where their helmet's going to go so that they don't scrape their helmet over the roll cage, right? Stuff like that.
Right.
After you also have 2 fingers on their back as they're getting out so that it's not like your whole hand is on them, but they know that you're there.
Right.
Subtle stuff like that. The other thing as well is that after they get out of the car, you don't loosen the lap belt, but you do loosen the shoulder straps all the way and then pull them back over the seat.
Yep, so you don't sit on them the next guy.
Exactly, right? Stuff like that.
When they take a leak, you want to shake it lightly. I'm just messing
Or
with you.
yeah.
This is good like service industry type of rules.
Yeah. So like good practices like that.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like popping the rear hatch after they come back from the pit. Different things to check when you're walking around the car to understand, did something vibrate loose, whatever. Like the rear wing, the actual like airfoils on the side, I'd call them. Those guys, I was actually checking a car. I found one loose. So stuff like that, I want to be on top of my game come the race weekend, so it was good to learn that stuff.
That's good.
And learn those directions. So it was useful for me in that respect. And learning that stuff. But Sunday was from like 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. is about when I got back to Orlando. So another long day. It was a lot of long days in the sun as well, which is why I'm all burned up.
Can't even tell.
Yeah, I'm like a constant state of red because I'm like outside. But some other stuff I learned also good practices on marking wheels, like marking valve stems, marking heat cycles, date, track, event, and then on also marking if the wheel has no weights on it after it gets balanced. If it's just balanced as is, you write 0 bow. That way, if you have a vibration in one of the corners and you see the wheels with no weights on them, you know that they either fell off or it came with no bow. Right. So that's a little subtlety there.
Do you track like tire tread thickness? Like how much usability
Yeah,
is left
you
in the
can
tire?
see that. Heat cycles are really your best indicator of that.
But track the number of heat cycles.
Every time they come off track, you mark it with a tally.
How many tallies can you run up to?
Kind of depends on the driver. I mean, there was one guy who was just kind of running, just practicing. He got up to like 12 heat cycles.
Okay.
Yeah, something around there, 12, 13.
So the cycle is every time they go out and come back.
Correct, which is about 20, 30 minutes.
That's a lot of cycles.
Oh, yeah.
Huh, okay.
Yeah. Obviously, his tires were pretty much dead, right?
At the end,
Most
yeah.
guys who want to run like relatively competitively and practice competitively will like kind of cap at like 6 or 7 heat cycles. That's what I've noticed.
Is he a racing driver or is he
The guy who's running 12s,
Yeah.
he was just kind of there to enjoy. He's an older guy who just wants to enjoy the experience.
My thought is it can sometimes be useful to run a tire to its full extent if you're going to be running that during a race so that you can tell how much longer you can run on a tire.
I agree. But never really run that many heat cycles in a race either. Like you'll like max if you're being competitive, you may run 2 to 3 heat cycles in a kind of race environment.
Because they stay hot while you're on track.
Just because you'll change them after that, right? Like even after 1 heat cycle, the tires won't feel the same. But like for practices and stuff like that, you might go through 2 heat cycles and then you'll change for quality and then you'll change for the actual racing sessions, which might be 2.
Oh, how long are your races?
It depends on what race it is. There are some endurance races that are around an hour.
Okay, got it. The endurance races are like an hour.
Yeah.
I was thinking like 4 to 6 hour races.
Oh, no.
Where
nothing we're doing has that.
Got it. Never mind then.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So, but yeah, stuff like that. How to check cool suits, and good practice with that. Different icebox system. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Nice stuff in the cars. Pit direction and car checks. Those are all things that like I've seen done before and I have good intuition for, but I've never done for a team. So, stuff that I was practicing, good practices, clear hand movements, stuff like that. So, yeah, like super clear, like really super clear hand movements, like forward super clear, like you have to be like very clear.
I was referencing
I know. Yeah, I know you were.
Yeah.
But stuff like that, was I was working on and learning. So good weekend overall.
So if the guy who went off and hit the wall, if that car is beached out there, who go gets it? Not you guys.
The track staff will call a black flag and a tow truck.
Got it.
And
so then they tow it back.
Officials will tow it back. Yeah.
And they dump it at your tent, and then you go with it.
Right.
Got it.
Yep.
So what kind of stuff can you fix versus not fix? So like obviously the transmission.
If it was a
you can't
race
fix.
weekend, we would have had more spare parts in order to fix that car at the track.
So you would do a transmission swap at the track.
If it was a race weekend, yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have all the tools to do that too.
Correct.
You have a full like tool truck.
We have a tool chest, and there are some other tools that we'd bring for a race weekend that we didn't have there that weekend.
One set of tools or multiple sets?
I don't know exactly how many. I think it's a good amount. Like the extra stuff we brought came in bins, and there are a lot of bins at the shop. I don't know what every bin is.
Right.
But know that there's probably, looking at the toolbox, I would presume that there are some specialty tools that are in a bin somewhere in there that
Gotcha.
we would take with us if we wanted to do transmission swap. So,
Interesting. Okay. Cool.
but yeah, like if it was a race weekend, we probably would have fixed that suspension and gotten back out there.
Right.
But it was pretty banged up and we didn't have all the parts to do it.
Right.
So,
Cool.
but yeah, had a lot of fun. Great experience.
Mhm.
You know, it was a super good time. I chatted a lot with the guy with the old air cooled 911. Really nice guy. And I helped him pull it into his trail, which was fun. I got to drive it a little bit and
Cool.
whatever. So that was cool. It reminded me of the 914 too. Like all the gauge cluster dash, it is all like very, very similar. And so that was really fun. It was actually a really easy car to drive, which was cool as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I pulled it in on his trailer, which was like, it wasn't really nerve wracking for me, because I've like only had manuals, so I felt
Right.
comfortable in the car.
Right.
But like looking back on it, I was like, it is kind of interesting that like he offered me to load his $250,000
Yeah.
911 race car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You just smoke the clutch out. Imagine giving it to fucking
Yeah, I was
toucans.
really
Yeah.
yeah, well, I was really ginger with it. But it definitely was different.
You know, I had that thought earlier this week where it's like there's so many there's like how many things do you do that come naturally to you because you've done it so many times but are a skill to other people. So this made sense to me because when my brother was talking about all the pilot stuff that he is learning and doing, I was like, man, this is really impressive to me because I don't know jack shit, but he knows all of it like it's second nature.
Yeah.
Comparatively, if he were to try to drive the Camaro in anger, he'd probably do as well as I would trying to fly a plane, right? Not like a military jet, but like a Cessna. Like,
Yeah.
I know the general controls. I know, like, you know, a certain amount from work, and I know a certain amount from driving cars. So I kind of know, like, roughly what the different fuel gauges in a jet mean and what the different, like, altimeters do. But um, not the minutia in the same way that he wouldn't know the minutia in their car, right? So this week, my thermostat's broken. So if my temps get too high, it will boil over out the overflow tank. So I have been trying to keep my temps low, and so as I'm driving, you know, if I'm stuck behind someone, I'll move over to the left a little bit to get some cool air through the car, right? Or if it gets really bad, I'll speed up and I'll turn the car off and I'll prime the key to get the electric water pump going, and then I'll just coast, and then I'll bump start the car, drive it in like fourth for a second, and then turn off and do it again. But what I have been doing more lately that has been interesting to me, and I have been doing it naturally until I had this like realization that like, so I'm driving and I'll be going, I'll come up to a corner, right? And so I'll accelerate and then like halfway down the straight, and then I'll let off completely and I'll put it in neutral. And then I'll come up to the corner, I'll brake normally, whereas normally I would be, you know, bumping the throttle to get the revs up. Instead, as I'm going through the corner, I'll just pick the gear that I'm about to shift into, and then I just let out the clutch, and like the RPMs are already ready to go.
Yeah.
And then I continue through the corner. So like I'm coming into a corner within neutral, and then I'm exiting the corner in the gear that I want. And I already know what gear it's going to be because I know the car. And so I know based on how fast I'm going, what gear to go into and to not like, you know, overspeed it or like, you know, shift too low. But that's something that I do like without even thinking that I would probably have to explain for 30 minutes to somebody who doesn't know how to drive a manual. And there's even people every day who drive manuals who don't fucking like put it together like that, right?
Yeah.
And so when it comes to like driving an old Porsche like that, it's interesting how it's something that like you don't even have to really think about because it just comes naturally to you.
Yeah.
But to most other people, it's like a daunting task.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I had a great weekend. Learned a lot. You know, kind of part of my interest is figuring out how stuff works trackside, and kind of how the process goes. And the drivers were really kind as well. I made like over $200 just in tips
That's
on the
awesome.
drivers. Yeah,
That's awesome.
so really nice there. As well as the flat rate, $100 a day. So, you know, less than I get paid at work, but not bad for a weekend where I wouldn't have gotten anything.
Is it? But in total, it's still more than you would have made if you went to work Thursday and Friday, right?
No.
Not accounting for PTO.
What if I had not taken PTO, or if I had just taken a leave of absence, this would not have made up for the amount I would made at work.
$600?
Yeah, I'm at like
Really?
Yeah, my pre-tax pay is somewhere around like 380 a day.
Damn, really?
Yeah, it's pretty high. I was
Huh.
surprised. I looked at it the other day.
That is
I think
surprising.
my hourly is like 52.
Really?
Yeah,
That is surprising.
I know it is weird,
It's
right?
good. It's
I
good.
know it is good.
Yeah.
That's why I looked at it the other day. And I was like,
What
"For
the
really?"
fuck?
I'm like, "Dang."
Yeah.
No, it was surprising.
Yeah. Cool, dude.
But yeah, I still made less, but like
It's why you
the
have
point is
PTO.
not even
You
the
got paid
money
anyways.
for me.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's not the point.
yeah.
So that's kind of my business update. All in all, just a lot of learning this week.
Mhm.
914 stuff, and a couple other odd ends, and just learning. So
Cool.
a lot of that and working hard. But that's what I got.
Sweet.
What do you have for business this week?
So my business update involves less racing cars, but it's still decent. So I'll start with client updates. My buyer that is a mother looking to get a larger home to accommodate her family. Um, she rescheduled our showings a couple months back and then never reached out to our lender and then never rescheduled another showing. Reached out to us, asked to schedule a showing. We said okay. We rescheduled the showing and then she canceled 40 minutes before the showing. So next time she wants to see a home, we're gonna say, okay, but you have to talk to the lender first because we have to know that you're actually serious about buying a home before we spend our time. It's just the way it is,
I think
right?
that's fair.
You just have to fill out, yeah, the application for a mortgage and like open conversation. Because before this showing, we also sent her the lender information and we were like, you should talk to her before we go see the house. And she was like, oh yeah, I forgot to last time. And we were like, no worries, like do it this time. And then she didn't, and then she canceled. So next time she wants to see a home, we're gonna say, hey, we're not gonna show you homes until you talk to our lender. Um, that's that. My veteran buyer who was thinking about buying vacant land and then wanted to build a home. We left off having seen homes last weekend, considering putting an offer on a couple of them. One of them we heard back the HOA will not let them build an auxiliary building, so they decided to not put an offer on that one. We were waiting to hear back from a different property in a nice neighborhood. Um, they said that you can build an auxiliary building, which is great. But this house is toward the top of their price range. And so they would be buying a house toward the top of their price range, not leaving them any money to build an auxiliary
Yeah.
building. So instead, they said, okay, let's look at vacant land in that area because it's a nice HOA. Clearly, the HOA is good with building auxiliary units there. So I pulled all the vacant lots in that neighborhood that fit their criteria, sent it to them. They wanted to go see 3 of them, so we scheduled the showings and we looked at them on this past weekend. Today's Monday, so it would have been yesterday. Man, that feels like a long time ago. But we went and we saw the properties. 2 of them are in flood zone AE, which is a high risk flood zone. They determine high risk as 1%. So a 1 in 100 year flood is how they determine it. But just because the property is in an AE flood zone doesn't mean you can't fill in soil to build a house above the flood level, right? The only thing is when you buy that land while it's zoned AE, you have to have flood insurance, non-negotiable. The VA requires it. So we looked at 2 that were AE and 1 that was flood zone X, which is really low risk of flooding. You don't need flood insurance. And there's still a couple other properties that are, that fit the bill in this neighborhood. There's like 15 or 16 options, which are good. And I think that they're priced pretty reasonably too. And so we looked at the lots and they said, hey, we think we want to move forward on one of these. Here's the offers that we want to submit. And I was like, let's pump on the brakes because if we're going to do a vacant lot, the VA needs to know, the VA gives the loan for the lot and the construction all in one go. They have to approve everything all at once up front. So you can't just buy the land and then get a builder later. So we have to get in contact with the builder and then get the site plan approved, and then we can go make offers on properties. And they said, okay, where are we at with the builders? So I've reached out to like 40 or 50 builders in the area, and I've got 5 that say that they'll work with their specific situation because the buyer wants to be involved in the building process. Not everyone is okay with that. And so I found 5 options that are okay with that. Actually, I think it's 6. I got an update this afternoon. So I sent those 6 builders to my clients and I was like, talk to these guys. keep your lender in the conversation because ultimately he's the guy who has to greenlight everything. And then once you guys have a site plan approved and everything, we'll talk to the HOA, make sure that they're okay with the build out, and then we'll go put offers on properties. So that's where we're at in that conversation. It's going pretty well. In my prep to show them the vacant land, there was a bunch of stuff. They hired me as a realtor for my location knowledge and then also my risk assessment when buying properties. So they want to buy in an area that is going to improve over time, right? So for example, the area that we're looking at now is actually nearby where I used to row. And when I used to row there was fucking nothing out there. It was completely desolate. And when we went to drive to do these showings, there's a brand new Publix and a brand new McDonald's and a brand new housing development. And I'm like, hey, this is an area that was not improved as recent as 2 years ago. And now there's a bunch of stuff popping up. Good place to buy. Also, this neighborhood is a desirable neighborhood. For reasons that I don't really want to get into because we haven't made the sale yet, and so I don't want to tip my hand. But it's a nice neighborhood. I think it will hold its value. Safe bet, right?
Yep.
But what they are really hiring me for is the risk assessment. So when you're buying a house, what kind of inspections do you want to get? What should you be on the lookout for? Is there any red flags that would put you off of buying a house before you even put an offer down, right? How thorough is your inspector? What kind of deals do they offer? What are your negotiation skills if we find issues on the house? And so for vacant property, I think that their assumptions were kind of that I wouldn't be able to help as much because with a house, there's a lot of shit going on, right? But for vacant land, it's not so much what am I looking at on this vacant land, and it's more what permits do I have to pull with the city to get this greenlit. So for example, if you're looking at a vacant lot, the rules are different for VA buyers than for standard buyers. But generally speaking, if you're looking at buying this land to develop on it, you want to check a lot of the same boxes, right? So like first and foremost, these lots have trees on them. Like it's just fucking bush and trees, right? So the second you buy it, you have to clear that shit out so that you can build a house on there, right? You can't just go tear up trees. You need to get a permit from the city to go tear up those trees. Before you go tear up those trees, the city needs to know if there's any protected species on the land. And so that's plants and animals. If there's protected trees, you need special permits to get rid of them, or you have to relocate the tree. For properties over 1 acre, you have to have a minimum of 6 trees anyway. So maybe you can plan it out where you just don't touch the protected trees and you cut everything else around it, right? So for example, like an oak tree with a big canopy, they consider that to be an important protected tree. So you might not be able to cut that down. Palm trees, like the palm trees that are kind of like pokey and they're not very tall, those are called sable palms. They're actually our state plant, our state tree. You can relocate those, but you can't kill them. So you can't cut them down and leave them there or trash them. You've got to move them around the property or to a different property, and you need a permit for that. So trees is a hurdle that you have to jump through, right? And like, if you have access to equipment to cut the trees down, then it doesn't cost a ton of money. It just costs you time. But getting the permit costs you time. So you need to factor that in. Animals is a bigger deal. The protected animals in Florida really make this process a pain in the ass. The gopher tortoise is a protected tortoise because they dig burrows that are up to 40 feet long. And so other animals will make housing in those burrows, meaning they're an important species for the whole ecosystem. So actually, interestingly, federally, the gopher tortoise is not protected, but the Florida Fish and Wildlife Service does protect them, right? If you buy a vacant lot and you find a gopher tortoise on the property, A, how much money do you think it costs to find the tortoise? Because you can't do it yourself. You've got to get an agent. You have to have a licensed agent come out and do an ecological survey to figure out what animals are there. If they find a tortoise, how much money does it cost to have one tortoise removed?
$5,000.
$5,000 to $10,000 per tortoise. So if you find a family, you're fucked, right? So the gopher tortoise could potentially cause a big cost and schedule issue because you also have to get this specially licensed agent to come out and get the tortoise, right?
Yeah.
And if he's got a 40-foot burrow, you can't crawl in there. So catching the tortoise can take time too. So the tortoise is an issue. A bigger issue, in my opinion, is the Florida scrub jay, which makes its home in areas that are dry and arid and have recently burned down. So Florida has natural wildfires all the time. They come in after the natural wildfires. They store hordes of acorns, and then that helps trees regrow, right? So the scrub jays are an integral piece of getting dry land to refoliate, right? If you have really dry land and there are no scrub jays because there's not enough food for the scrub jays, that area needs a controlled burn because it's too dead and it's, could get out of hand. So the scrub jays are a protected species. If there's a scrub jay that's nesting on your property, you can't touch anything on the property during nesting season, which is March 1st to June 30th.
Oh shit.
So if you buy a property, it's March 30th, and you want to start construction and you find a scrub jay nest, you have to wait 2 months, right? Or 3 months. Um, so there's also the eastern indigo snake, which is the longest native snake to the United States that lives here. That's also a protected species, same deal. Anyways, there's hurdles you have to jump through, right? That's like the protected species aspect. There's also a completely different aspect, which is a cover your own ass move. So you should get a wetland delineation survey done to make sure that none of your property is protected wetland, because you cannot build on protected wetland. If you do, big issues, big fines, right? You also have to do a soil compaction test to make sure that the soil doesn't get so moist that it can't hold the structure of a septic tank, because it's not on sewer. You'd get septic, right? So you have to do a soil percolation test to have that done. That costs money, right? So there's like all these different, like long list of things that you should do when you buy this property. You don't have to do all of them, but they're important, right? And so as we're walking these properties, I'm talking them through all this. And I know a certain amount of Florida wildlife from the nature stuff that I did in high school. So I know like a certain amount, right? And so when we go visit these properties, there's very clearly like hog tears in the ground where the pigs have been digging shit up. And then there's a pig run that goes through into the bush. And so my client got in there with, his Bowie knife, and he went in and followed the pig trail through the property to kind of see what is out here, right? And some of the properties looked good. So they brought me on board to do the location scouting, which I did successfully. This is a good spot. And the survey stuff, which we'll get into once we're under contract, and to help them find a builder. And so I've done those 3 things. So it's going smoothly. They just have to find a builder that they like, and then we can move forward from there. So those are those clients. Yeah. My buyer lead list. There were some local business owners who asked to hang on for like a week or two. That ended up being like a month and a half. They just decided to rent a house. They don't have the money to buy. That's cool. Um, Another buyer lead is a girl who I dated in high school. At first she said, "Oh, my husband works for SpaceX. We can afford like $4,200 a month," which is an incredible, like you can buy any house with that, right? But then she said that they earn too much for the down payment assistance program. And I was like, okay, that's a bummer. Maybe a different lender can help you find a down payment program. And so I found a lender that does a down payment program for people who usually earn too much for it, right? But then in those conversations, she dropped that they have like a 75% debt to income ratio, which is too much to qualify for a mortgage. And I was like, how can you afford $4,200 a month, but you have a 75% debt to income ratio? That doesn't make any sense. Like, how much money are you actually earning? Um, and so uh, she was like, "Oh, we might just have to rent a house." And I was like, "Well, let's see what the lender says, because every lender calculates debt to income differently. So maybe this guy can work some magic for you. He's a good lender." And she was like, "He hasn't gotten back to me yet." And like an hour later, the guy wrote an email to us, and he was like, "Hey, I haven't gotten your application yet, but send it my way. I'll see what I can do." And I was like, "Okay." So they filled out the application. We'll see what he can do, but I might be helping them find a rental home if they
Okay.
can't qualify for a mortgage. Um, Another buyer lead is a friend who I was friends with in high school, and I reconnected with her via my text message thing that I've been doing. She works for a construction company doing logistics, and she said that she and her man have been talking about buying a house recently.
Cool.
So that could eventually lead to something. And then the guy who cuts my hair, I'm helping him find a rental. And I asked the guy for a tour last week, and he said, "Let me ask my client," and then ghosted me. So
Mm.
his lease is up on the 1st on Wednesday. So I was like, "Can I schedule a tour for Friday?" And he was like, "Let me get back to you on Wednesday." Okay. So that guy's being a dick. But those are my client update. Grace got a new lead today for someone who wants to sell their house. I can't remember, but those are, generally speaking, those are my clients so far. Those are my client
Cool.
updates. Yeah. I also did an open house this weekend. A friend of mine has a listing that they wanted me to do an open house for. It was the first open house for a brand new listing. It's in the middle of nowhere, Port St. John. We had like 3 groups come through, and one of the groups was talking about putting down a cash offer on the house, but they wanted more info. So we got their email, we gave them more info, haven't heard back from them, not sure where that's going to go. I don't, I was just asked to do an open house again next weekend, but I think that my time can be leveraged better. I did this open house because it was the first open house, and it's rare that you get to do a first open house for a property. but I think that my time can be leveraged better elsewhere. And this is where I'm going to do that because I've been working on the business context document that you gave
Cool.
me all week. It's
Sweet.
I don't know how many pages it was to start, but it's 46 pages long now.
There you go.
And I'm like 70% of the way through it. I still have a decent chunk. I've been like, every section I get to, so like, let me give you an example here. I'll get to a section and I'll read the heading and then I'll sit and I'll think about it, right? So like, for example, here's a long one. Your consultation process. Do you have a structured buyer consultation or listing presentation you use? If so, describe what it covers and how you run it. If not, describe how a typical first meeting with a new prospect goes. What materials, data, or proof do you bring to that conversation? So I'll take that prompt and then I'll sit with it for like 5 or 10 minutes and I'll think about it from the buyer's perspective and I'll think about it from the seller's perspective. And then I'll think about which ones are the same and which ones are different and then what problems I could run into. And so then I'll write my buyer's chunk and then I'll write my seller's chunk. And so the response to this is like 3 pages in total. And so I am doing that with each subsection. So I finished this afternoon, I finished section 6.3. And I was like, okay, I feel like I'm making good progress because I'm 46 pages in. I can't have much more to go, right? And there are 10.4 sections. So I'm like 60-ish% of the way through, I guess. So I'm just going to keep hammering at it this week. I made really good progress last week, even though I was out of town for a big chunk of it. So I'm just going to keep hammering away at it. And then hopefully by our next podcast, I'll have finished it. I feel like this is the long part.
Yeah,
Once this is done, you upload everything to Claude and then go step by step to get the knowledge base done. And that moves faster.
It does. It does.
Yeah. So I am laboring on this section because I know it's important. And so I'm taking a lot of time with it. And I'm even reiterating myself, like if it asks for Google reviews, even though I answered it earlier, I say it again and I double down on it so that each prompt has a straight response, you know?
Cool.
So in isolation, any single prompt would make sense. And I'm sure Claude doesn't need that because it's smart enough to read the whole document, but I am taking my time with it. So
Very nice. Very cool.
that is my business update.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing how that the context document works out. I think it'll work well, but I'm excited to see it work. So
I'm excited too. And I'm ready. I'm at the point where I'm ready to move on to the next thing. Like I feel like I have been in the ad making process or like waiting on ad making process for like 2 or 3 months now. It actually hasn't been that long because I closed on February 25th. So it's been about 1 month of like writing ads and having the money to run ads, but not doing it. So I'm doing a good job with spending and not overspending my money. So I'm protecting that funding so that when I can run ads, I can run them. I'm just ready to do it and not be waiting on it anymore.
yeah, no,
So
I get it. Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, that's my update.
No, very cool. Very cool.
What? Oh, what
What?
lessons did you learn this week? Yeah, I thought you started to talk, so I
No,
wasn't sure
no,
if you
yeah.
were gonna say. What lessons did you learn this week?
Lessons this week. I didn't have like a super duper like business oriented concrete lesson I learned, but I think that the one that sticks with me is to continue putting yourself out there and ask a lot of questions. Like I asked a lot of questions, not just about like how to do stuff on track, but also like about business processes. Like how does stuff work at the shop? Like what do you guys like you normally charge for? Um, and stuff around that, and to kind of get my foot in the door to start thinking about how the business side of the process works, and asking a lot of questions. Um, yeah, that proved to be useful. They have these little cards that actually one of the guys gave me that they're supposed to hand out to other people to kind of give them their pricing. And so I
Other
got one of
people
those. Like people at the track who might be interested or whatever. They
in
have these
like
little
renting a
cards.
car.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. And so they gave me that pricing guide.
Mhm.
So I got an idea about that and understanding how their shop works,
Mhm.
how they charge for different things and stuff like that. And that all came from just asking questions and prompting and stuff like that. So that would be my lesson learned this week. I think that was valuable to me,
It's a good lesson.
and that's what I took away for the most part.
Yeah.
What do you have?
I have something a little different. I was struggling to think of something because I'm reflecting a lot on my Oklahoma trip, and I have so much that I am like I'm encoding and remembering, and as a function of that, I started to think to myself, I was like, man, I learned so much this weekend, not only from my brother, but also from the rest of my family.
Mm.
And I have never been more proud to be a member of the family than I am now with how much cool stuff is going on with like my brother, graduating with his wings. And then my dad, the Artemis launch is a big deal for him because he's been
Mm.
a part of Artemis since its inception, right? He came over from the International Space Station to Artemis when Artemis started.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal for him. And when I was talking to my brother about is it difficult for you going into like a strike wing where you're going to be pulling the trigger and delivering weapon systems? Is that difficult for you? That type of conversation was then tied into the work that my dad and I do because my brother is the one pulling the trigger and making it happen. I'm the one making the trigger. And so I'm partially responsible for the people the weapons are delivered to, but then also the airframe that people like my brother fly on. And then my dad is in charge of the airframe that people fly on into space,
Mm.
which is even crazier, right?
Yeah.
And so we all have a level of responsibility for other people's lives and what happens to them in an interesting way.
Yeah.
And so in thinking about that, I've just kind of been reflecting on my family as a whole and how grateful I am to be a part of it. And Grace told me we went to the Space Center yesterday to get our launch credentials for NASA. And when we were there, we got a goodie bag. You'll get one if you go tomorrow.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
but with it, we got a Artemis patch.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Grace was like, "Oh, dude, this
Oh,
is
I have one
so."
of these in the Miata.
Yeah, she was like,
Yeah.
"Dude, this is so sick." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I wonder if I can get it Velcro on the back so that I can get like a patch on my race suit or something. Because this would be cool to have like a piece of what my dad is doing on my racing suit. I really want the Jungle Keepers patch too." And she was like, "Man, she was like, I'm so honored to just hang out with you guys and like be a part of the family, even though I'm not like married into it or anything." And I was like, "Yeah." And so this is a patch that my brother gave me.
Oh, cool.
Every graduating class at Vance comes up with their own like team insignia or logo. And so
Nice.
they did the McLovin license plate from Superbad, but it's
Yeah.
with a pilot or whatever. And this has a
Nice.
Velcro back too. So I want to
yeah.
have this sewn into my suit as well.
Cool.
But like these two things are just like such a cool representation of like the awesome stuff that my family does.
Mhm.
And so part of that has been really awesome to reflect on. And in thinking about it, I was like, man, what do I do with this? Because like I could write it into my lessons learned into my podcast, but you know, going back and digging for that is going to be kind of difficult to do. So I started something new. In for Christmas 2 years ago, I didn't have a ton of money, and so I got my parents books. And in the books, it was kind of like a Mad Lib where like you fill it. Like it was each page had like a question and then you write an answer. But it's essentially like a you write your own biography as a dad to your son, right?
Mm.
And I got it for them. I don't know if either of them are writing in it, but I thought to myself, it would be really cool if, because, I take time to reflect on this kind of stuff all the time. It'd be really cool if I wrote what I learned from them in a document. And then in the future, when they're older, I
Yeah.
could give it to them to read through,
That would be
and be
cool.
like, hey, this is like, you know, it's not enough to just say Happy Mother's Day or Happy Father's Day, but here's a full document of things I think about every day that I've learned from you.
Mhm.
And so I started the document for the important people in my life, and I've just called
Oh,
them
cool.
What I've Learned from You documents.
Huh.
And so I've started filling them out. Like every once in a while when I feel inspired, I'll go and I'll write like a sheet. And so the way I'm doing it is like for my dad, I'm not writing it in like a long book format or anything like that. But like for my dad, the first one that I wrote, it's kind of like short stories. And so I titled the first one, I've never met anyone happier to make bad food. And then the lesson is about how my dad genuinely wants honest feedback when he makes food because he's using the feedback to get better at making food. So like when Grace makes food, she like carefully designs the meal and prepares it and cooks it and then delivers it to fit the person, to fit the event.
Mm.
And if it doesn't come out the way she wanted it to, she's like crushed because like she wanted it to be perfect, right? And when my dad makes food, he doesn't care if it's terrible because he's not focused on where he is today. He's focused on where he's going to be down the line.
Mhm.
And so I remember when I was in high school, he got really into smokers, and so that was like it manifested itself in the form of like YouTube videos and going to smoker expos and going to cookouts and stuff like that, and like downloading online recipes before he even had a smoker. And when he got his first smoker, He took like a whole afternoon setting up all the ceramic plates and everything and like doing the preheating cycles or whatever. And he made chicken. I've never tasted campfire ashes before, but that must be pretty close to what the chicken tasted like. It was just fucking terrible. It was so bad. But my dad didn't get discouraged. He just laughed about it. And
Yeah.
he was like, this is maybe the worst food I've ever made. And we all ate smoky chicken. And now he makes some of the best smoked meals I've ever had. And it's because he stuck with it. And so that's a lesson that I learned from him and a memory that I have. And so I filled out a couple for my dad today because I was thinking about him along those lines. But I'm starting that document for a couple different important people in my life, and I'm just going to fill that out over the
Cool.
years. So I think that my lesson that I've learned this week is just a reminder and gratitude, especially for me because I'm in a really cool family where most people. Grace talked about this week. She she was hanging out with someone and she was like, "Oh man, I've never really realized how normal this person's family is." And I was like, "What's that mean?" She was like, "There's not like a bad egg or like an interesting factor. Like her family has a couple members that are a little nutty. Everyone's family has like someone who's a little nutty, right? Like a drunk uncle or something like that. Or like, John's dad is a physicist and he worked on the Manhattan Project or something like that, right? And she was like, her family, Anna and Ralph are really intriguing. They own their own warehouse and own their own business. My family has the cool stuff that my dad and my brother do. My mom is studying to be a phlebotomist, so she's learning to take blood, which is interesting. And she was like, everyone has interesting families, but this person just has a very like run of the mill, like eats frozen dinners on the sofa and watches TV every night type of family. And she doesn't interact with that often. And so she took a moment to appreciate that when she interacts with family members, it's really cool people doing really cool stuff. And so I just wanted to take a moment this week and be grateful for that.
Very cool. Very cool.
That's my
I dig
lesson
it.
learned.
Got a dial in for us?
I do. And so this one is kind of related to that. But it is an Alex Hormozy quote that goes, "A cool moment with my father. You used to be Dr. Hormozy's son, and now I'm Alex Hormozy's father, and I'm very proud of that." And I like this quote because it motivates me. I used to think, dude, I didn't actually think this, but this type of thing where it was like, dude, my family gets to be the family of a D1 rower and a mechanical engineer who works at Northrop Grumman. Isn't that cool for them? And now I'm at the point where I'm like, dude, my dad is leading the effort to put man back on the moon, and my brother gets to go fly equipment that I can only design. I'm like, dude, that's so crazy. It's so crazy how the script flips. And I really want my family to be able to be proud of me in the way that I'm proud of my family.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that they are to an extent, but they don't really know what I do, so they can't be that proud of it. And so I think that what I want to be known in my family for and proud in my family for is owning a large successful business, and it's going to take time to get there. But this quote reminds me that I need to just continue to work to get there.
Yeah, yeah. I think one thing that I took away, I was thinking, your dial in kind of made me think about it a little bit. Is something that I was thinking about was, I was looking at all the pricing sheets. And it was actually less than I expected, but I also know that the team I'm working for is the cheapest around, like the cheapest. It was still not cheap. It was, for perspective, the lowest end track support, like base, starting at like no trailer fee, no nothing, anything like that, was $350 a day to have a track day, like standard track day support for your car. And then on top of that, you have associated trailering expenses if you have them trail your car. And then also the actual personnel that are there, their expenses are split amongst the people who are driving. And so, for example, like meals, right? There's a split amongst. So it goes up from there, of course. So, but it was cheaper than I thought it would be. But looking at that stuff, I was like, this seems very doable. And something that I thought about, this weekend was like, I think it is very possible to make a career in racing, but I think you have to be smart about it. And I never really thought that it was even possible to make a career in racing because I thought it was just a money pit. And I think like it largely can be, but I think it largely can be and even is because people who aren't business oriented get into racing.
Right.
And so there's a lot of money spent, but there isn't a lot of thought put into, well, how can we sustain this for a decade or 2 decades?
Right.
Um, and so I think looking at that stuff, I started to think like, if I just did Porsche 914s, I could easily start with a client
Mhm.
and do, you know, wheels and tires, fuel, driver debrief, basic hospitality
Mhm.
for just one person. Or
Right.
I could do that with a tent.
Right.
And it wouldn't be a huge investment.
Mhm.
And any sort of money I got from that would go back to me.
Mhm.
And so I think that that line of thinking kind of has it started me getting to think about that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So, you know,
The business itch,
yeah,
the
the business itch. Yeah,
entrepreneurship
yeah, yeah.
itch.
But long story short, it'll take time to get there,
Yeah.
right? So on a similar note, I guess you
Yeah.
could say. But very cool. I
Yeah.
dig the dial-in.
Thanks.
But
That's all I got.
yeah, I guess that's all we got for this week of the Vision 79 podcast. This is episode 102. So thank you for tuning in again. Really appreciate it. Appreciate your time and hope you have a wonderful week coming up.